Oilers and Canucks both with full morning skates this morning, Farhan, ahead of game number 3 here in Edmonton. Let's just quickly rip through what we see as potential lineup changes. Leon Draisaitl will be in the lineup. Chris Knobloch confirmed that, but Adam Henrique is coming out, and Connor Brown will draw back in for the Oilers. What about the Canucks?
Yeah, as far as the Canucks, Rick Tocchet wouldn't commit to any lineup changes, but in the morning skate lines, we saw Linus Karlsson in place of Nils Höglander. Now, Höglander was a 24-goal scorer, all at 5-on-5 during the regular season. He has been invisible during these playoffs. Karlsson was a point-a-game player in Abbotsford with the minor league affiliate and got called up. Has played 4 NHL games this season, so we'll see what he can bring. He's a bigger body than Höglander. But again, Tocchet hasn't confirmed he'll play. Also, Nils Åman, who's been the 13th forward, did skate on a line in place of Phil DiGiuseppe. And Tocchet said that DiGiuseppe is not at the morning skate due to personal reasons. So he still could potentially be an option tonight, so we'll see what that looks like. But you know, it's not like there's somebody out there that the Canucks can just inject into the lineup that all of a sudden can be an eraser for Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl. So we're talking about minor cosmetic changes at this point.
Were you surprised they didn't make a change on the back end? Do you think they contemplated Ian Cole?
Yeah, I'm not sure how much they did. And look, it'd be easy to overreact on the overtime winner that Cole basically put into his own net.
It wasn't just that.
I know it wasn't just that because, you know, in terms of what happened in game 1 and the number of chances he was on the ice for, the number of goals he was on the ice for, it was not a good look for Ian Cole. But also, this is a player during the season that I think a number of fans were saying, look, Noah Juulsen's ready to go. Maybe Cole should be the guy that come out. He's playing on his offside. But then in that playoff series against Nashville, Cole was one of their better defenders. And if you know Rick Tocchet, you know how important experience is to him. And the Stanley Cup pedigree that Ian Cole has is something that Rick Tocchet really values. So I think he's just going to give him the benefit of the doubt, just give him as much runway as he can, and know eventually he'll show up.
So on Connor Brown coming in, Adam Henrique was injured, was working his way through a lower body injury. He played last game, Farhan. I'm not sure that was the best call. He clearly wasn't moving very well. One of the reasons they had him in was for the penalty kill. Well, he went out on that first penalty kill and got seamed through the middle of the ice. That was all the penalty killing he did for the rest of the night. Didn't play a lot, so they elect to take him out. Connor Brown goes in, also a very good penalty killer, an energy player, a winger. He did play earlier on in these playoffs, so it'll be a boost of energy, I would say, and a pretty good player that the Oilers are injecting here into their lineup.
But as far as Henrique being out, how does that impact the Leon Draisaitl deployment? Because when you listen to Knobloch, he talked about the fact that he'll see some time on the wing and he'll see some time at center.
I'm not sure. My gut is that Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid will start the game together and play the game together. Why would you change that? They were absolutely dominant last game. And I know long-term the formula, the belief is, and I've always said this, you'll win a division playing McDavid and Draisaitl together. You'll win a cup playing them apart. The formula is for those guys to drive their own lines. But, man, it worked pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know why they would split that up, Farhan. I think they'll stay together. And then I think you'll see Ryan Nugent-Hopkins as the second-line center. Ryan McLeod is fine at the 3-center spot as well. So look for McDavid and Draisaitl to stay together tonight. I don't see any reason at all to change that. The question becomes, what do you do if you're the Vancouver Canucks? How do you do a better job of trying to limit them? They're going to get their looks, but you just can't let them go supernova. Tall order.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And the Canucks do believe they've got some options, especially down the middle, because in that last game, it was the JT Miller line almost exclusively out against the McDavid line, and then you also tried to get Soucy and Myers out against them extensively. Now, in earlier rounds against Nashville, against that Ryan O'Reilly line, and certainly O'Reilly's not McDavid, but that was their loaded-up line in Nashville. Sometimes it was JT Miller, sometimes it was Elias Lindholm, along with Garland and Joshua, and I think you're going to see that. You're going to see both of those guys out there, and I think that would probably be a relief if you're JT Miller, because it gives you a little bit more of an opportunity to play offensive from time to time. And this is the one thing that Tocchet is really emphasizing to his team. Don't be afraid to play the game. Don't panic. Don't ice the puck. If you get out there and you happen to be Elias Pettersson, or you happen to be, you know, on the fourth line with Teddy Blueger, you all of a sudden look at the bench and say, get me off of here. Like, you can't play like that. You can't just flip the puck out and ice it. He pointed to 6 different moments in that game where the Canucks had a chance to transition, have an odd man rush, and they didn't. Yeah. They panicked with the puck. They just wanted to get rid of it. He believes those moments are out there even against Edmonton's best players, and they've got to play that way. But as far as which forward lines can go against that line, I think they'll be comfortable with either of those two centers out against them. I'm curious to see what it'll look like defensively, though, if they try really hard to keep Soucy and Myers on the ice.
Yeah, they're going to have to, you know, figure it out and be comfortable up front, because you think about the way McDavid and Draisaitl dominated, that was when the Oilers didn't have last change. So now series shifts back here to Edmonton, and the Oilers do have the last change. Chris Knobloch can pick his spots. I don't think he's going to, though. When they're healthy, They hop over the boards when they're
Why
when they're
should he be
rested.
worried about who the Canucks are
Just
going to throw?
exactly, just throw them out there, and he has that luxury for sure. So
I'll tell you this though, that if I'm Rick Tocchet, I want Quinn Hughes out against McDavid, and I say that because that line, when it's loaded up, isn't a physical heavy line. Like, as big as Draisaitl can be, that's not necessarily how he plays when he's out there with McDavid. So if it's me, I think that might be physically a little less taxing for a guy like Hughes, who's taken 5 hits already, some big hits in this series, and they want Hughes to play with the puck. And maybe the best way to prevent McDavid from playing the puck is to try to get Hughes to play with it a bit.
he's amazing with it on his stick. He drives possession. He maintains control for his team. Best defense is a good offense. Maybe that'll work better. Maybe a little bit of a shift in tactic. We'll have to wait and see. Canucks have been good on the road. They were good in the first round on the road. That'll be important. Like, the Oilers are an excellent home team, Farhan. But what did you see out of Vancouver in the first round that maybe gives them a little bit of a jump here tonight?
Yeah, I think that they're comfortable playing in a number of styles and winning a number of different ways. I think we saw in that last round against Nashville, they had to play a bunch of low-scoring games. They were able to do that. And so I don't think they're going to panic. I mean, look, if this game gets out of hand because the nuclear line does what they do, I don't know how you adjust at that point if they're down 3. But I do think that this team, in a 1-goal game in an environment like this, I mean, if this game stays close, the Oiler fan base might get nervous, right? And this is a fan base that has huge expectations for this team this year, unlike maybe what's happening in Vancouver. So for me, I just think the Canucks are comfortable in close games late. They're comfortable in low-scoring, low-event hockey, if that's the way the game needs to go. And, you talk about greasy road wins, which is cliche, but I think, like I said, for Vancouver, I think their goal is to shorten the game, get to the third period where they're comfortable if it's 1 goal.
How about the goaltending matchup? Stuart Skinner, there's 1 goal. He 1,000% would want back from last game, but he picks up the win. Looking for a bounce-back performance here from Shelov's a little bit too, and we expect those to be the 2 starters tonight.
Yeah, and for Shelov's, I don't think a bounce back is required. I think he was very good in game 2. The fact that game got into overtime, as tilted as the ice was in the third period, I think Shelov's was great. You can't look at him and say any of those goals you should have stopped. So, had they lost that game, I think there was a world in which you'd have seen Casey DeSmith start tonight. But the way he played absolutely earned his ice. Tocchet didn't commit to his lineup, but he did commit to his goaltender. Shelov's is playing. Also talked about Thatcher Demko, says that he is progressing, starting to take a few shots here and there. I still think this series is a long shot for those wondering for the Demko cavalry to come in and save this team. I don't think it's going to happen.
A Mother's Day matchup here in Edmonton. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Game 3 set to go tonight.